So the first tip is that I want to show you is bookmarking. It allows you to save a post or a message and go back to it in the future. So to do that, you just select any particular message you have, and you're going to click the More Options button, and then click Save this message. And I can do this with basically any message here. So I've already saved this one, and I can unsave it by, once I've saved it, clicking on the Options button again and selecting Unsave this message. So once I've saved this message, there's a couple ways to go to my saved messages. Easiest way is to click on my profile button and then go to saved. This will bring up basically a list of all my saved messages. So I can easily scroll to where that message is in whichever team I'm looking at, back and forth. The other way to get to this would be to use the command button. So if I go saved and press enter, it'll bring me to that same list where I can see documents again. Another tip is the ability or the use of tags, which was just recently introduced. So if I have a team, and so I have two teams here. I have Paul Demo 1 and Teams Tips and Tricks. If I click on the options button on whichever team I'm on, I can go to Manage Tags, and this will allow me to create a tag for that particular team. So I could call it Teams Tips as a particular tag, and then I can add people that may belong to that team. So for example, I have test user 1 as a particular user that I'm going to add to the team or to the tag, and I'm going to hit create. What this allows me to do is then use this particular tag inside of at mentions or whatever the case may be. So if I have a if I'm starting a new conversation, I can go at, and I can start typing in Teams Tips and Tricks. This is showing me there's a particular tag here. I have a user called test user 1. I also have a team called Teams Tips and Tricks. But these tags, so what this allows me to do is if I have 20 people within a particular team, I can segregate that down and create a tag of 5 or 6 people, and then I could mention that particular tag. So it allows a little bit faster, easier way of mentioning or getting people's attention using mentions as an example without mentioning the entire team or channel. Another tip is the ability to email a channel. So if I jump over to email, for example, or actually let me go back to Teams here. So within a channel, I can click on the options button and I can see what the email address associated with that particular channel is. So if I say get email address, I can see this is the particular email address that gets generated for that channel. I can then use that email address link to send an email. So if I have, an email in my inbox or sent items, I can forward. So let me just go to my inbox here. And let's say we want to forward this particular message into Teams. I can start typing in that or paste in that particular shortcut or link for the email address. And then I can hit send. So this will send this entire email chain within Teams. So if I jump back to Teams, let's give it a second here to show up. I can see here's the email I just sent, Weekly Digest Office 365 changes. It's obviously too large to see within this channel, but I could easily click on here and see the original email, and then I can start replying within that chain. So it's just a way to take that communication that's maybe locked into your outbox or inbox and push that over to Teams and then continue that chain of communication within Teams channel. Another tip is you want to check your video and audio equipment before jumping on a Teams call. The easiest way to do that is clicking on your profile once again and going to settings. And under settings, I have devices, and I can actually choose which device for audio I want, my speaker, which microphone, and I can actually make a test call by clicking on test call. So this will get a message saying leave a message. This is a test message for call quality. So I will then get a checkbox that says, it's passed, my network's okay, my camera's okay, and I can close and go back to device settings and make another test call or change something if I don't hear that test message that I left for myself. Other options I have under another tip is basically configuring your notification settings. So on a particular you're getting too many notifications within Teams, you can obviously turn off certain things. So if I'm getting at mentions, I can say I only want to show in the feed, not actually get notified, or get an email and a banner notification, or just a banner notification. So very I can configurable as far as what I set and don't set. I can also manage priority access. So another thing is I can set my status to do not disturb, and then I can actually add certain individuals that I'd like to have come through no matter if my do not disturb is set. So it's just a way to filter things out and still get important calls that you may be expecting. Another thing I see a lot of people doing in Teams that's important here is when I get a message or have a message chain, I can start typing a new conversation down here, but it's actually important to keep that thread of the conversation sort of contained within a specific message. So I would click reply to a specific message versus starting a new conversation down here. And I can still obviously use at mentions and do all the other stuff that I can do by starting a new conversation, but it just keeps that thread of the conversation so that if someone jumps into the middle of a thread of a conversation, they can easily follow it without having separate messages. Another feature is using the command bar for certain things. So command bar is this box at the top here. Now there's a lot of different commands I can see. So I can type an example of one would be activity. And then I can type a person within the organization and see all the stuff that they've sort of have in their activity feed. Another command, I can set my status. So as you can see, I'm set to away here, but I can have different statuses as available, busy, do not disturb, be right back, pure away. So I can set that by hitting the command key and then typing in available as an example. As soon as I do that, you'll see my status is now available where it was previously set to away. I can see quickly mentions that I might have. So where I've been at mentioned, these will pop up. So I can see this particular case. If I jump to that message, I can see that I was at mentioned in this particular message up here. I can also chat with someone very quickly by hitting chat, space, and then typing the person's name. So test user 1, who jumped, and then I can start typing in a message, test message, press enter. It's now going to send that. And if I jump to my chat, oops, I should have pressed enter, I would see that test message in here. You can also see keys that have been defined. So shortcut keys So /keys, see all the different keyboard shortcuts that are available to me to do different things within Teams. Another tip is using navigation buttons. So that is these buttons in the top left-hand corner. So notice I'm on this window. I could easily jump back to the previous page I was at or forward to a previous page I was just at. So if I'm jumping around different channels or teams, I can navigate forward and some backs using those buttons. Other Teams tips are the ability to zoom in and out within Teams. So as you can see right now, I am zoomed in 120%, but I could easily zoom out and make things a little smaller or a little bigger. So if I want to be able to see things or make them larger for presentation purposes, I can easily do that using this zoom button. I can also use Control plus and minus keys to control the zoom in and out as well. Another tip in Teams is using is sharing your screen during a meeting. So let's assume that I'm in a meeting with team user 1 here, and I can start a meeting, or I can just share my screen without creating a meeting or an audio call or a video call, either with 3 of these. So if I say I want to share my particular screen, I'm going to get prompted to select which screen I'm sharing. In my case, I have 2 screens, so I can select either screen, or I can select a specific window that I would like to share, or a particular application as well that I can share. So a lot of options. I find it easier to share desktops. That way I can just move programs in and out of those desktops and share. So if I selected window 2 as an example, or we'll select window 2, what it'll do is it'll actually put a red box around the window that you actually are sharing. So I could do that as well. And I'm going to make an audio call here with test user 1. Also in the call, I also have the ability to set backgrounds. So as an example, if I'm in the middle of an audio call here, we'll just do that again. Hang up this call. Another tip is starting private channels. So as you can see, I have a Teams tips and tricks here. I have a general channel, but I could easily create a new channel within here and make it a private channel. So I'm going to add a channel, I give it a name, and I can set the privacy here to be private, so accessible only to a specific group of people within the team. So if I have a team of 30 or 40 people, but I only want a specific channel, sort of, maybe it's HR or finance, and I want that only to a specific group of people, not everyone else in the channel to have access to that particular channel, or everyone else in the team to have access to that channel, I can definitely make it just a private channel, give it a name, continue on. Another Teams tip is to use the mute and unmute buttons during Teams meetings. This reduces the background noise, ensures clear, concise meeting is happening. So to do that, once again, I would start a call. I can do that again. Once I'm in the call, I would just hit the mute button, and then I'll just show you that quickly here. So I'm just going to make an audio call back to test user 1. Another thing I see a lot of people doing in Teams is assuming that they're typing a reply here to this email as an example, and they just start typing whatever it may be, test message, and then they press enter, and then they hit a reply again, and on and on. Well, you can actually create multiple line message. So if I click on this format button here, I can now start replying and provide some rich text formatting around the message. So I can do things like, if I wanted to insert a table, that was 2 by 3, I could easily do that. Start typing in my message. I can change font colors and the normal stuff, change formatting, add a number, insert links, make things bold. So get the idea, and then I would hit send that message out. So just a nice way to send a message. The other thing I can do is I can make a message important as well. I can insert GIFs. I can do a meet now. So, and I can also have different apps here as well. We'll get into that. Another thing I can do is, let's say I'm in a, let's go into this general channel, and I'm going to go to Files. And let's say I create a new Word document or have a Word document. So tips 2, we'll create that document. So I can use the conversation button here in the top right. Once I do that, it brings up this Teams channel, and I can actually mention someone within the document itself. So I can go mention test user 1, please review test 2 doc, press enter. So what happens now is if I jump back to Teams, or we can close this document down, doesn't really matter at this point. We jump back to the posts, I'm going to see that I have a shortcut or a link to that tips 2 document with the message to test 1 user. So they're going to see this at their side. They're going to receive it. They got an at mention, so they're going to see that in their Teams client. I can easily just click on that document, see where they maybe at mentioned me, and continue on working within that document within Teams. So very powerful to have that communication within Teams related around documents. So this works with Word, Excel files, PowerPoint documents, any document related to Microsoft products. Webinar recap. We reviewed bookmarking tags, emailing a channel. We reviewed testing of video and microphone before starting a call. I showed you how to use commands, bar, and navigation buttons. Showed how to use zoom in and zoom out. We also reviewed sharing your screen in a meeting and blurring your background. We talked about mute and unmute button in Teams, how to make a quick audio or video call to someone, and we also reviewed rich text formatting.